macOS has many apps that I never bother to use. One of these, though, has always caught my attention, and this app is called Stickies. Stickies is an app that solves the problem of not having sticky notes to place on your display. This app will give you digital sticky notes that you can write with. Stickies by itself is a very boring app, and there's not much to it at all. But in today's episode, I'd like to touch upon a brief history of the app, its features, and why is it still here today. The origin of Stickies dates back to when Apple employee Jens Alf wrote a program that he wanted to be shareware. He developed this app on his own time under the name of Antler Notes. He had planned to release this under his own brand as well. Apple, on the other hand, had different plans. Apple decided to include it within System 7.5, which was an update to System 7, now called MacOS 7 in retrospect. You may be asking, but how did Apple include this within System 7 if they didn't make it? Well, Jens Alf did do it on his own time, but Apple also had the legal right to take his creation and include it within their own software. These were the terms of employment that Jen signed on to. The Stickies we have today isn't exactly the original Stickies either. When Apple was transitioning to Mac OS X in the early 2000s, the app was rewritten in Coca. Now Coca was Apple's API for developers that came out with Mac OS X. Here's a video of Steve Jobs announcing Coca at the Macworld conference in 2000.
Our APIs, the things that our developers program to, and there are three of them in macOS 10, Classic, Carbon, and Cocoa. Classic, and the reason for this is to provide a gentle migration for people from the left to the right over time. macOS 9. Classic runs macOS 9 apps as is, without modification. So you can run your macOS 9 apps right on macOS 10. You do not get all of the new features, however, because it's impossible to do technically. But they all run, and they run well. Carbonized apps get the new features. Now, what's a carbonized app? It's something that takes a developer a few months, 1 to 3 months, to carbonize their app to get it ready for OS 10, and all of a sudden it springs to life with all of the new features of OS 10. And the third API is Cocoa. It's completely different. It's fully object-oriented. You can write applications in Java or other object-oriented languages and get all of those benefits. So developers can choose any one of these they want.
So you've just heard what Steve Jobs had to say about Coca and how it can really let you take full advantage of everything that Mac OS X had to offer. And you're probably thinking, wow, Stickies must be pretty advanced in Mac OS X if they rewrote it all to take advantage of these new features and all that. Well, you're going to be very disappointed to find out that Stickies doesn't even feel like a Mac OS X app, not even 25 years after it was released. The first part I think that you'll notice about Stickies is that the title bar is completely different than literally every other macOS app, except for like probably 3 of them. Instead of the red, yellow, and green buttons that we're all used to today in modern OS X, Stickies has a square, a right triangle, and another square. Now, these 3 buttons all serve pretty much the exact same functionality as the buttons we know today, however. So besides the fact that it was rewritten for OS X, but still has Mac Classic UI, what can you really do with this application? Well, the first thing, and probably the most obvious, is that you can write with it. You can leave small notes with it, just like how you can with a real sticky note. You can also resize them to make them larger or smaller sticky notes on the screen, but I feel like once a note is more than about 1/10 of your screen, you're better off just using the Notes app or the Quick Note feature by dragging your mouse to the corner of the screen. Another feature is that you can put images into Stickies. This can be useful, I think, just to have in the heat of the moment, but the preview application also sort of makes this obsolete. Once you double click on a photo, the preview already comes up, it's already there, it's much quicker than dragging something into Stickies. You were also able to drop files into Stickies. You can drop these sticky files back into other Finder windows, but it doesn't really work. This file that comes out of the sticky, it's copied onto wherever you place it on the Finder, and it just becomes an empty RTF file and not the actual file that we put in. This could just be an error on my end, but if anyone else has this issue, let me know. Using the menu bar at the top of the screen, we can see a little bit more stuff we can do with the application. One of the first items I see is the Export to Notes feature. Well, this seems like just another way to keep this application down. We can instantly export these into a Notes app with them separated by color. By doing this, we now have everything we had inside of Sticky Notes inside the Note app. Speaking of color, yellow is not the only color here to choose from. There are 6 colors in total. These colors are yellow, blue, green, pink, purple, and gray. You can also easily switch these colors by using the Command key and the numbers 1 through 6. Stickies, functionally, is like a text editor with some extra features. It's nothing to write home about, but it can be useful in very certain situations. But I also feel that Notes is so much easier to use, and it's so much more integrated within macOS, that the existence of Notes just already outpaces Stickies. Also, having sticky notes isn't exactly a really cool thing anymore. This may have been cool in 1994 when it was first released, but TextEdit can be used in the exact same way, and it's arguably easier. Probably the most advanced thing that this app has to offer over TextEdit is that it offers transparency. Yes, if you hit Command-Option-T, then your note becomes transparent. Well, it's a little too transparent in my opinion. It's like if you held a sticky note to the computer screen and were able to trace the screen, that's how transparent we're talking. I guess that cocoa powder Steve Jobs talked about went into the transparency feature. So here's to the crazy ones. The ones who use stickies. Why are stickies even around? I often use my girlfriend as a litmus test for how many features on macOS are even used. She chooses to use her MacBook Pro as her college work device, which she doesn't really need for schoolwork at all. She is what I call the average macOS user. She's like most macOS users. Default settings, maybe a wallpaper change here or there, but they typically don't have the path name in Finder turned on, or the Mac HD icon on the desktop. I asked her before starting this video, do you ever use stickies? And she had never even heard of stickies, so there you go. If you've never even heard of macOS, you've probably never even thought about digital sticky notes. From what I remember, there is no built-in Windows app like Stickies. So the final question remains, what will happen to Stickies? Will Apple remove it within the next few years? Will Apple slowly fade it out or hide it? Or will it just be removed from the built-in apps in time to come? It could be removed as a built-in from new devices. I doubt anyone will notice. Honestly, about 90% of macOS users probably never use this app that much. Stickies is a relic from an older age of macOS, when the wallpapers looked like this, Apple computers looked like this, and when I looked like this. So what about the future of Stickies? Can Apple even integrate this app into today's products? Stickies on an iPad would be cool. You'll have to have it always on the front, just to be able to easily put things in and stuff, but I have a feeling iPad OS already has a feature like this with Notes. I've never used it, but from what I've seen on the internet, it seems as if this is already a thing. What do I think about Stickies? I think it's a fun little app. It's cool for about 4 minutes until you realize it's painfully out of date and just reeks of System 7. I hope you all enjoyed this little video. Stickies is an app that has always interested me, so I'm glad I was finally able to put a little video together about the app. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out the rest of the channel. The last tech video I did was on Windows XP, first time trying it, it was interesting. So if you guys enjoyed this type of content, make sure to stick around, there'll be more to come.